Howdy all, Premium Beta 2 is with us, or 2.02 now. It's been patched twice since it was released. A good thing as well, which I'll put as a quick aside, is we've now got an incremental update, so the downloads, these patch updates are coming down a lot quicker. So we'll go and have a quick look. No major changes. There's a few bit of added content with a couple more planets, systems you can visit, and a nice fancy space station. But really, it's lots of very nice fine tweaking, some balancing of weapons. These two patch updates have stepped around with gimbaled weapons quite a bit. Yay. Not that I'm quite sure it's really going to stay, but for those who follow on the forums, you know I'm not a fan of gimbaled weapons. But yeah, it's kind of loads of little gentle tweaking. One thing, I'm back to a Sidewinder. Nobody sent me the memo that said you were losing all your credits if you didn't sell your ship parts. So I'm all the way back to square one. And if I'm honest, that's kind of getting a little bit now. I know it's only a beta, it's fine, I'm not taking it too seriously, but to go all the way back to square one and start racking up credits again, and there's no exploits that I'm aware of, and there's no simple hacks, and that's a good thing, to get credits back up. Then it's kind of, you know, it's a grind in a beta, which is getting dragging on a bit. But you know, let's pop in and have a look, because there's lots of nice fine little tweaks and changes which are definitely welcome. So without further ado, let's jump on in. In station then, in Starport, nothing initially looks like it's changed much. I think the graphics are just tightened up a little bit in station. I'm not entirely sure what they've done, but it just seems to be less anti-aliased or something, I'm not sure. But you know, the menus are there, they look pretty similar. If you look carefully, you'll notice there's some just down next to the power distribution, there's some status things for landing gear and cargo scoops. But initially, you don't feel like a fat lot has changed. That left-hand head-up display menu is kind of a little bit different. But the performance of the graphics inside the stations, at least, has significantly improved. I can just tell it's a lot more responsive. And I'm not entirely sure what they've done, or maybe it's just optimization. But you'll notice there's a speed limiter now while your landing gear is down, so I can't nudge much more than 110 meters per second with the landing gear down, but bring it up and suddenly you get full speed, so that's kind of a useful little feature. I quite like that. It's probably a good idea from a safety perspective. But yeah, something about the graphical performance of the space stations definitely seems to have improved. Mentioned there's some head-up display updates. That menu, you can see there's a bit more detail down in the bottom left, and you can see also bottom right corner the status of landing gear and cargo scoops. The audio cues are also back that were temporarily dropped out of the previous beta. So let's head off somewhere. Pick anywhere, sticks will do. You notice head look remains enabled after you've been into the menus as well, which is a really good bonus. And we've got moving limbs now. Right hand and left hands kind of move. But the head look feature and the fact that it doesn't need retoggling, particularly as you go into Super Cruise here, look, see, I can still use head look without having to retoggle it back on. That's a welcome bug fix, that one. Super Cruise graphically, they've I don't know whether you spotted there, but they've also, that just seems a little prettier. They've put a bit more detail in there. Now Super Cruise itself has changed. I think it has changed for the better, but if you're used to how it was before, it'll throw you initially. Sticks is a bit of a bad system because there's not really a fat lot in here apart from an unidentified signal source. But where's my nav point? There it is. So, no, there it is. So now you'll see on the left the head-up display gives you an idea of distance to your target,
and the speed that you need to arrive there at. There's also an alignment icon, a little blue box, but I'm not really sure that does anything at the moment. The whole mechanic around it is different to the previous beta, but I think they've fixed it, or they've certainly improved it, because it's a lot simpler now. All you need to do is keep your target throttle in that blue zone, the sweet zone that you would use in combat, yeah. And as long as you keep that target throttle somewhere in the blue, more towards middle to bottom, you seem to arrive without overshooting. If you try and play Super Cruise like you did in the previous beta 1, you'll be overshooting things left, right and centre, because it was kind of overcautious with the old one. You always found yourself getting there quite slowly, but now they seem to have just got it working with some common sense now. You'll notice there's a slow down icon now if you are coming in a little bit hot. You can see there on above the radar there's a slow down warning. But you've now got 1,000 kilometers to target dropping onto your target, whereas before you had to exit under 100 kilometers from Super Cruise. Now you can do it within 1,000 kilometers, so that's a lot better. We've also got a couple of new systems, and the obvious one that everybody's looking at and talking about is All-in, I guess you pronounce it, A-U-L-I-N, All-in Enterprise, because it has this, the Orbis space station, which obviously was seen on E3 initially, and has been released now as part of PB2. It's a different design to the Coriolis station, obviously. I think the premise of it is that you've got that massive ring towards the one end, which is your high G living area. That's simulating a full 1G apparently, not that I really would know. And then you've got that smaller ring slightly back, which is a lower half G living area for old farts apparently, whose bones don't like gravity, so that's thoughtful. But it does look very pretty. It's very big. Let's see if we can wander in and just grab some of the detail that's there in these models, because it is quite impressive. The whole space station seems to be not just rotating but moving in space quite considerably, because you see I'm flat out with 4 pips to engines on this Sidewinder, and I'm barely managing to keep up with this spinning station. But with a bit of tentative boosting, let me see if I can navigate across. This is where head look comes in handy, so I'm going to try and slide in over the or inside the ring. I've got to watch that bar there. Yeah, looking good. So, and this is a lovely bit. It's you can see these glass panels here, and inside you can see a complete kind of green world, fields and roads and oh no, I'll bug out of there. That's not as easy as I thought. But you can see inside there, there's a, let's try that again. Okay, cut that. We'll see if we can get in here a bit more. Lovely detail to the shadows you can see here. As the sunlight's coming round onto the station, it's passing through the glass panels. You can see the cityscapes inside the station, the shadows being cast by the pylons of the station supporting it, and you can see here as we rotate round, the shadow of the station is throwing over itself. It's lovely, isn't it? Reminds me of that Matt Damon film. Matt Damon! What was it? It was everybody out in these wonderful space stations above Earth. Very pretty. Kind of believable as well. Also a bit Mass Effect-y, I suppose, for fans of Mass Effect. So let's go and dock then. Enough sightseeing. Well, the one thing is it's a lot easier to find out where the hole is on the Orbis station compared to the Coriolis. Coriolis one, there is a tip actually. It's not that hard if you just remember that the face on a Coriolis station with the docking port is always rotating counterclockwise, anti-clockwise. So it's actually not that hard, but A lot of people often find they're getting the wrong side. But on this one, it's easy enough. It's right here in the face with the large main ring. Notice as soon as I deploy landing gear, that speed limiter comes in and brings me right down to 110 max meters per second. This is probably a good idea really to start. You get a lot of people hot dogging, as they say, in and out of the space station, so maybe this will curb all the people who decide to fly in. But you can, obviously you bring the gear up and you get full speed again. It's not if you don't like it, it's not a problem. Ooh, hey mate, hold on, green side. See. And inside the station, you can see that detail level switches in, but it's fairly seamless really, and the performance now in station is a lot better, like I said. Can't say that this one looks massively different to the Coriolis stations though. Is it a bit bigger? It's greener. It's got a different hue of light to it, but otherwise it kind of looks the same to me. Still got those dangerous spikes right there waiting for any anaconda to impale itself on. Oh! There's football pitches. Yeah, I think there's football pitches in here as well. It's cool. Some zero gravity football. Ice cream. And what else have we got? Ah yes, another little point here. Module configuration. It remembers itself. I'm really glad that this is back. Well, not back, this has been included. Now you can set your system priorities on power. You can turn systems off, and they're remembered over switches in and out of docking or through supercruise. So that's really good. Configure it once and leave it. Another new thing is escape vectors. Oh my goodness, that sounds very impressive. What is that? Sometimes you'll get this message, look, align with escape vector, and it's basically when you're entering supercruise, you might need to point in a completely different direction to where you want to go. The escape vector is basically giving you a hint as to which way to get out of the gravitational effect of the nearest large mass that might otherwise mass lock you out of supercruise. So it's basically telling you head this way to avoid getting into a mass lock situation as soon as you've gone into supercruise, getting dropped out of it. I've obviously quickly clipped this straight into some asteroid belt just to show you. The cargo scoop also has a speed limiter on it, same as landing gear basically. Deploy cargo scoop and you're kind of limited to 100 meters per second, or 110 in the Sidewinder, which is good. Notice the whole asteroid ring is a lot darker now. In fact, the whole game in terms of space is dark, but that's not a bad thing. It's lovely. It's a lot more realistic. Combat wise, you know, you can see here the old lag. This is the rubber banding that I get all the time. Whenever there's kind of this many, what we're talking, 4 players in an instance, this is par for the course for me. 6 meg broadband, 300 kilobytes up, and you do get a lot of this rubber banding of NPCs. But the finer detail here, I think they've done something. Obviously the targeting reticle is different and it's better. We've got less confusion, less clutter in there. There's a very simple pinpoint right ahead to show where you're firing your fixed weapons. These are fixed pulse lasers here. And also that the aim assist on the fixed weapons has been toned down a little bit, so the fixed weapons have got a little bit harder to use, but that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad criticism. Ooh, ouch! Trying to get this cargo with spinning carcasses of anaconda around. I believe gimbal weapons are also severely changed. I'd love to report on that, but I got a credit wipe back to a Sidewinder and 1,000 credits, and I can't test them out yet. But I'm not a big fan of gimbals anyway, as I think most of you probably know. The other thing that we can do now as well, another benefit, is you have the option to drop a lot closer to the station now out of Super Cruise. Basically, if you spend some time fine-tuning that arrival distance to your destination, so I'm going to try and get this as close to 0 kilometers as possible. So I'm going to approach nice and slow, get it down to in the kind of there we go, about there. And you should drop towards the station a bit closer than 20 kilometers now. There we go. It's more like it, isn't it? 3 kilometers. So you spend less time faffing around boosting back to the station. You still have the option to, you drop out near 1,000 kilometers in Super Cruise and you'll be 20 kilometers out from the station. So it's your choice, but you've got that control now. There we go. Lots of minor tweaks really, but no major changes, but lots of fine tuning.
So there we go, Premium Beta 2, and it's, I've said this before on previous videos, every kind of release it gets closer and closer to a game, and it's, it's another significant step closer, I think. Some good performance improvements with the graphics, and those slight tweaks, but it still needs something to make it obviously a fully connected game. It's just missing that final thing to make you want to kind of play it a long time. I think it's just kind of a grind around combat or trading at the moment. But that's fine. It's a beta. We can understand that. Just on closing, some people have asked in posts on previous videos about the setup. There's nothing massively out there with this. For those of you that asked, it's a Radeon R9 280X graphical setup on an 8-core AMD 8150, and you can see here on Eyefinity, it's I can't screen capture it and put it on YouTube because obviously it's such a massive resolution, but it's perfectly playable. It's showing a solid 60 frames per second limited here at the moment through the asteroid field. I'm just checking the frames per second meter in the corner, but you can see it's perfectly playable. Okay, this is a single player mission, but this is something that I still chuckle myself when you play Eyefinity setup. Obviously when I record the videos, I record them just a single screen so that they're recordable for YouTube. But playing non-recording with Eyefinity, there is something about it which is not going to come across on a video, and is something you're going to have to try yourself to really experience it. But yeah, a single R9 280X graphics card, 3 gig of RAM, full settings on everything but the draw distance shortened a little bit, and it's lovely. And short of an Oculus Rift or something like that, this will do me. Particularly coupled with a head tracking device, it's lovely. So yeah, that's not dipped from, it's hovering at 60 frames per second basically. So for those who asked, there you go. Right then, on that note, we shall leave it. I honestly don't know when the next video is going to be, to be honest. It seems to be kind of a bit of a grind now. When something significant comes up that's worth videoing or discussing, then be sure I will, but I'm not going to just churn out combat videos for the sake of it or something. So yeah, let's wait and see what the next big change is in Elite Dangerous. Obviously the beta has been announced now towards the end of July, but for now it'll just be a case of carrying on testing, see what we can find out, and hopefully I'll see you out there. See you later.